Hey everybody, it's Kate 420, and I'm bringing you guys a story tonight of two girls from Indianapolis, Indiana. It's another senseless violence story. Coriana Johnson and Makayla Mitchell. Um, so sit tight, and we'll get right to it. Oops.
2 teenage Two teenage girls who family members tell us were best friends are shot and killed on the city's west side. And so far tonight, no arrests for the murders of these 17 and 18-year-old girls. Fox 59's Lindsay Eaton spent the evening with her family members, and she joins us now live on the northwest side. And Lindsay, I can only imagine a very difficult evening tonight.
Yes, a very, very difficult time. Family members tell us these two girls were always together. They were actually talking about looking at apartments, wanting to become roommates. Now their families are looking for some answers. That's Makayla Mitchell posing in the pink dress. Coriana Johnson is in the green one.
And it's crazy because they was like this and they died like this. And that's what hurt the most.
Just before midnight on Sunday night, when IMPD got to 20th and Berwick on the city's west side, a couple guys stopped the officers and told them two girls were shot and killed.
I just hope they find who's ever responsible for killing my cousin and her best friend because it's not right.
Makayla had just turned 18 a couple weeks ago. 17-year-old Coriana was a
What the heck?
hairdresser.
My cousin, we grew up together from babies on up. I'm gonna miss her.
Both girls were shot multiple times. One bullet hit this home near a window. Carl Howard lives a few doors down.
The flashing red lights and blue lights came through my side window.
Two teenage girls
Ain't that bad about it? Well,
and family members tell us these two girls were always together. They were actually talking about looking at apartments, wanting to become roommates. Now their families are looking for some answers. That's
well, of course, nothing like technical difficulties, even when I'm making a video, huh? All right, well, let's get to business then. I don't need a video to do it. I got all the info we need. Excuse me. Three Indianapolis teens were gunned down in two separate shootings over the weekend. And to me, that would be my first clue that it doesn't matter if they were on separate sides of the city. To me, teenagers, being gunned down with no suspect in sight is just a little bit odd to me. So anyway, the first shooting took place in broad daylight Sunday afternoon. Less than 10 hours later, two teenage girls who were sitting in the front seat of their car were shot and killed on Berwick Street just before midnight. I couldn't see any bodies or anything slumped over, said Larry Dillon, a concerned neighbor. Police identified the two victims as Coriana Johnson, 17, and Makayla Mitchell, 18. Family members say the two girls were best friends. I just hope they find whoever is responsible for killing my cousin and her best friend because it's not right and I'm going to miss her, explains Lexus Killebrew, Coriana's cousin. Um, Police wouldn't say exactly what the reason is for the shooting, but investigators believe the victims likely were in the area for a specific reason. What we've been told is they've been visiting this area to meet someone, and during that night, or that meeting, we had the shots fired. Just last week, the city's 100th homicide of the year took place on Senchio Street, just a few blocks away. While police continue to canvass the area, neighbors say the violence in their neighborhood definitely has them on edge. Yes, I'm in fear of my life. Yes, I'm in fear of what's going on in my neighborhood. Yes, if someone comes in my house, they're dead. That's final. Police did take two men into custody after the shooting in Berwick. So far, no arrests have been made, and they also have not been any arrests in the case involving the teen killed on East New York Street. All right. What I want to say about these two girls is that they have been friends since they were in diapers because their fathers were friends. Um, they have been, there's a history of these two girls. That night, I believe Coriana had just got out of work and had picked Makayla up. Coriana worked at McDonald's. She picked Makayla up and they were going to meet someone. Now, what you might not know by what you've heard so far is that the two men who waved down the police officers um, and said that the girls had been shot were actually in the back seat of the girls' car. Yeah. And you'd think with two live witnesses that you would have a suspect. But this shooting happened on October 5th, 2015, and there's still no answers.
Evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this special edition of 24-Hour News 8, Indiana's Most Wanted. I'm Brooke Martin.
And I'm David Barris. This half hour, we're going to shine the spotlight on criminals who need to be caught, cases that need to be solved. We'll also have information on how you could earn a cash reward for helping put wanted criminals behind bars.
First tonight, nearly 2 years later, questions remain unanswered in the double murder of two teenage girls.
Coriana Johnson and Makayla Mitchell were gunned down in the prime of life. Happened on West 21st in Berwick near the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 24-Hour News 8's Julian Grace takes another look at this ongoing investigation.
Makayla and Coriana started out as just two little girls whose dads were pals. Here's the two celebrating Makayla's 5th birthday. But well into their teens, these girls became pals of their own. See, these beauty queens were so in sync that they did everything together. I mean, everything. They rocked the latest fashions, they took the coolest pics, and they got a kick out of just being in each other's presence. But on October 5th, 2015, just 30 minutes before midnight, these two would die together.
And what did I do in life to just have all of this? Come on, me.
That's Makayla's mom, Charity, who sat down to share her thoughts with us. Here's what we know. On that night, Coriana just got off of work, and she picked up Makayla. The two headed here to 21st and Berwick to meet someone. They waited in the car for about 20 minutes. Suddenly, shots were fired, and the two girls were hit and died on the scene. But we later found out there were witnesses that night. According to police, there were two men that waved police down, and those two men told officers they were in the back seat when the shots were fired. One of the guys was related to Coriana, and the two were questioned and released. And since then, there hasn't been so much as a peep in this case.
And people are angry and frustrated about these unsolved cases. But in my mind, our girls were children of God.
Back at the scene, a memorial still sits in the same place and still no trace on who pulled the trigger. And as for the two questioned, sources inside IMPD say they're not cooperating with the investigation.
Yeah, I would have thought that it would be solved by now. If the police wanted to find out who did it, yeah, I would definitely think if you had two live witnesses.
Detectives add this case is still open and being pursued. There are a couple of theories being reviewed, but nothing the department is willing to discuss.
We need more information. We need more physical evidence to really tie these theories all together to make a presentable case to the prosecutor's office.
As each day passes, Charity told us what keeps her going as she waits for justice for Makayla and Coriana.
It is all faith. So anytime somebody thinks it's wrong, any little good you may see from me, any little light, it's only the light of God. Because me, myself, I'm a horrible person. You may not edit that out, but I can't do nothing without God, without the faith I have in God.
There were reports that at one point police made an arrest in this case. IMPD tells us that is not true. There have been no arrests in the investigation. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers 317-262-TIPS.
I want to read this because these weren't just two girls who were out partying, popping pills. These were girls who were actually mentors in their neighborhood. These were girls that had jobs, that were beginning at the prime of their life, beginning to be responsible for themselves and help their give back to their community. And they were taken, and I want their voices to be loud. I want people to pay attention to this case. I want people to put pressure on the eyewitnesses to do everything that they can to help bring about an arrest in this case, because it's their responsibility. I try to remain upbeat in the face of adversity. Work harder, I say. Dig deeper. Believe that if we don't have the ability to change a situation, we have the strength to push on and eventually make life better. Don't quit is my mantra. Yet news of the fatal shooting of two teen girls on the city's west side on Sunday took all of the fight out of me, particularly after I learned about them. These young ladies didn't have the best of life's luxuries, but they were working to better themselves. They wanted to be somebody, women who could hold their heads high. Instead, they are gone. Best friends, robbed of any chance of fulfilling their dreams. Just a week before they were gunned down, Coriana Johnson, 17, and Makayla Mitchell, 18, served as chaperones for 7 young girls who attended the Circle City Classic as part of a mentoring outing. As chaperones, Coriana and Makayla were attentive and supportive, explaining the game of football to the girls, accompanying them on bathroom breaks and to get snacks. See, Coriana and Makayla weren't self-absorbed teens. They were sharing their time and life experiences with younger girls who needed role models through a program called GLAM, Guidance, Life Skills, and Mentoring. The organization is dedicated to empowering young women to overcome adversity and achieve their highest potential. In fact, Coriana was what the executive director considered to be the heart of the organization. Coriana had been involved in the group since its nonprofit incorporation in 2008. She helped recruit girls ages 9 to 18 who needed a boost or a big sister figure to encourage character development, leadership skills, and academic success. Coriana and Makayla refused to sit on the sidelines of life, to be victims of their circumstances. They were fighting to have lives of value and meaning. They appeared to be doing all of the right things. They were trying. These young girls were serving their community, Glam executive director Chanel Poole told me. They lived a tremendous life of love and generosity in a very short time. News spread like wildfire across social media among the 40 or so girls who are currently enrolled in Glam. Coriana and Makayla had been shot multiple times as they sat in Coriana's 2004 gray Pontiac just a few blocks away from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They were pronounced dead at the scene. It's just heartbreaking, Poole said. One of our Glam girls, a 12-year-old, called me first thing the morning after it happened, and she was in deep pain. I don't even think she knew how to articulate the words. I've made personal house calls to these girls since, and each girl is in tears. They are speechless. They just don't understand how and why this would happen to Coriana and Makayla and their big sisters. Ugh. The Glam organization has mentored about 300 girls since its inception. These girls aren't all troubled. Some of them perform strong academically and have tremendous parental support. But many of them have experienced horror and trauma at an early age and lack in coping and poor social skills. Others are straddling the fence and battling temptations of poor choices, such as promiscuity or dropping out of school. The excuse me. The peer mentorship component is what makes the program so powerful. The older girls like Coriana and Makayla, show the youngsters that self-esteem is critical, that remaining a virgin isn't a bad thing, that getting good grades doesn't make one a nerd, and that going to church doesn't make one an outcast. The girls are able to offer advice in a way that's understandable to their peers, Poole say. They can say, this is how I dealt with being raped. This is how to survive being a foster child. Here are the tools you need to cope with a parent who is a drug addict. Coriana and Makayla led by example. They surely had their share of disappointment and trauma. Makayla's father was fatally shot in 2005, and Coriana's father is in prison. The men were best friends, and the girls became friends as toddlers. After an emotional struggle, the girls decided they needed a safe place where they could talk out their issues with other girls who shared similar challenges. They were very, very positive girls, Charity Mitchell, Makayla's mother, told me. Makayla was very emotionally supportive of people, even though things were not perfect for her. She tried to give more light to the world. Coriana worked at McDonald's inside Indianapolis International Airport. She was enrolled in an online high school classes and earned extra money as a hairstylist. Makayla had been hired at Taco Bell and was undergoing employee training. They had saw beyond their lives as fast food workers and dreamed of becoming doctors. They had no guarantees, but they had a desire. Poole, 32, is as broken as anyone. I've heard about the loss of two of her girls. Excuse me. She's ready to retreat to a quiet room. Her fight is gone too. But she has pledged to keep pushing through, to keep helping indie girls realize their full potential. These girls were practicing what I was preaching, and they still lost their lives, Poole said. It's going to take God to stitch me back up, but I'm going to keep moving forward so that their legacy will continue. I'm going to keep moving forward for the sake of Coriana, for the sake of Makayla, and for the sake of the girls I serve. While my heart is heavy about this senseless crime, I certainly can't stop either. I refuse to give up on making this city a better place to live and raise children. Makayla and Coriana are gone, but there are dozens of girls just like them who need me. We've all taken one on the chin, but I still believe. So I volunteered to be an adult mentor with Glam. Dig deep, don't quit. Email star columnist Suzette Hackney. That was a beautiful article, guys. And if that doesn't tell you about who these two girls were, overcoming what they had struggled with at home, and not using that as an excuse to join a gang or using that as an excuse to run away and quit school and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? It just is sad. Yeah, this doesn't play. I don't know why, but it just basically is another. These are some of the girls at Glam. On a normal day, the young women of Glam encourage each other to push past their limitations. On Wednesday, they consoled each other over a loss of two of their own. Coriana Johnson, 17, and Makayla Mitchell, 18, were shot and killed last week in a car on the 2000 block of Berwick Avenue. Both were members of GLAM, which stands for Guidance, Life Skills, and Mentoring. As a vigil organized and sponsored by GLAM at the Jewel Center Wednesday, at the Jewel Center Wednesday, their friends remembered them as people trying to make a difference. She had my back. She helped me. She did my hair. She made sure I was okay, said 13-year-old Ikea Berry, who looked up to both the girls, but especially Johnson. Chanel Poole, who founded the GLAM program, said she'd worked with Johnson since she was about 10 years old. Losing Coriana, I'm broken. But I really feel like I lost a piece of me, she said. Johnson's mother was also in attendance Wednesday. She was my only daughter, and I love her so much, so much, and she's gone, and it hurts to the core, Shanika Johnson said. People were still searching for Johnson and Mitchell's killer. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 262-TIPS. This was Coriana, guys. I just wanted to stop on her Facebook page real quick and show you a few things that I found to be interesting, like her tattoo. I thought that was just beautiful. You can tell she loved her hair. This Coriana was the one that was going to school and online and had a job and did hair on the side. And if you look, her hair is in 1,000 different ways. See, short, long, different color. And you can tell she did an amazing job. Oops, it's gonna let me keep going. I believe this is Coriana, a family member, her grandma's grave, I believe. She was much younger then, because that was in 2000. Yep, here we go. Here's Coriana, her mother, and her two brothers. There she is. All right. Definitely not a girl. And there's no difference. Every person, no matter what they choose to do with themselves, deserves justice if they're, especially if they died of violence. But what I'm saying is, here we go. I find this case very interesting because here's two girls who were fighting against all odds and still had their life taken senselessly. This is Makayla Mitchell. Typical teenage talk from the looks of it. You know what I mean? And it's just, but they was doing the right thing with their lives, y'all. We could have had 2 doctors out there that found the cure to cancer. And now we'll never know. This is what I wanted to read. Okay. You guys, this is from the indie feminist blog, equality, intersectionality, diversity. I'm not big on some feminist stuff, but I found this letter to be endearing, and I think I should share it. Amanda Blackburn. Now that I have your attention, I plead with IMPD to put the same sort of effort in solving the murders of Coriana Johnson, 17, and Makayla Mitchell, 18, which occurred October 4th, 2015. They were not blonde. They were not white. They were not the wives of pastors. They were not pregnant. They were teen girls with jobs that gave back to their community, and they were shot to death in their car. Since that time, we have seen a pretty blonde, who was also tragically murdered, get a response from IMPD that included multiple homicide detectives and nearly 24/7 media coverage. Coriana and Makayla deserve that same pressing, intense police work. The cases are different, and I recognize that. IMPD has been quoted as saying it's possible that Coriana and Makayla knew their killer, but shouldn't that make their suspect easier to find? Even if those are not as forthcoming with information, those connected are not as forthcoming with information. 3 young lives were destroyed by violence, yet Amanda seems to be the only one with value. I urge the city of Indianapolis, our media, and IMPD to make Coriana and Makayla a priority. Their families and friends suffer just as those of Amanda do. And it's time to stand up and demand that their lives matter too. Okay. Which is kind of why I'm doing, this specific story tonight. I do want to mention something for those of you who are interested in going further researching this case. One thing that I found very interesting was that in 2014, a year before they were found shot to death in their car, they were in a house where I believe a gun got pulled and they ran for their lives or whatever. They ended up being brought down to the police station and made, asked to make a statement about it. And I'm not sure any further. It doesn't say what was said, whether they ID'd anybody or not. Point of the matter is that you always want to keep those kind of things in the back of your head when you're researching these cases, is that, there's so much that happens in their personal life that if you don't know those little those details, you may not ever find their killer. And has anyone even told them? Has the police even connected those two things? Are they even trying? So I take my 30 minutes tonight and just want to dedicate this to the families of Coriana Johnson and Makayla Mitchell. I hope you get the justice that is much deserved. I hope that your families heal. I hope that every single life that they touched grows up to in turn give back the same way they did to their communities. I hope that for generations to come, what Makayla Mitchell and Coriana Johnson did, what they overcame in their lives and decided to be a part of giving back. I hope that's seen for generations to come. I'll get back to you guys soon. I'm working on getting my new channel set up and my old channel back on board. I have a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I'm having to set up so that I can get back to my regular lives on my Kate 420 channel as well. It's been a long week of construction here since the house fire. We're finally just getting the kitchen repaired. So I'm sorry I haven't been on my videos, but I'll be back in business soon. Don't you worry. Hang on. The dog starts snoring while it's so silent. It's a Kate 420 video for you. Nothing goes professional. Come on. What is taking so long?